So, you just landed at Maurice Bishop International Airport in beautiful Grenada and need a taxi? You probably just realized that Uber doesn't work here. That's right, Grenada doesn't have Uber. But don't worry. Instead, locals and visitors alike use RideGo, the fastest growing rideshare app on the island. With just a few taps, you can request a safe, reliable, and affordable ride anywhere in Grenada. Whether you're heading to your hotel, the beach, a restaurant, or exploring the island, RideGo has you covered. No waiting, no guessing, no hassle. Download the RideGo app today and experience transportation the modern way. RideGo, moving Grenada one ride at a time. Welcome to Ride Country.
Ridealong Live. Welcome to Monday. Yeah. Favorite day of the week, Monday. Where are my Monday people? Jennifer, Lawrence, how are you? You a Monday person? Yeah. They said, right? They say that Mondays are the most difficult day of the entire week. A lot of people, they have a great weekend and Monday they have to go back to work. So there was a study, I heard about it. I didn't officially see the study, but there was a study that was done that said that most people get heart attack and die on a Monday. So we have to change the perception of that because we have to make it up for every day. So if everybody is stressed out on a Monday because they got to go back to work, they got to be fake with their boss, with their fellow staffers. Most people die on a Monday. They get most fed up and frustrated on a Monday. So let's change that. Monday is the most beautiful day. Yes, and yes. Good evening to you, Shelley. Nice. Hello, Jennifer Lewis. Lydia, how you doing? Guys, today's an interesting conversation. You know, Ridealong Live set the tone of conversation. All right, you better know, you ought to know that by now. And oftentimes I have to keep explaining this, Jed. I have to keep explaining this over and over again. Now, earlier today, when we posted, we post news and content for the entire day on the platform. And for some reason, some people they still believe that as long as they're not seeing everything that they want to see, like if they're into sports, all they should see on Ridealong Live is sports, right? They don't think that we should venture out and do other things. All they want to see is what interests them. And I oftentimes have to come out and say, listen, this is a multifaceted platform. There are millions of people who are entertained by this platform, whether it's for the immigration conversation, whether it's sometimes we have political conversation like we're going to have today, or whether it is for the music or whatever. But it's a variety platform programming. So if you, for any reason, you're scrolling through one day and you see something that you don't like, or you don't want to see, or you're not interested in seeing, hey, just scroll past the thing, man. Just scroll past it. You don't have to come and leave a nasty comment. You don't have to come and curse me out like what? Like what? Like I'm supposed to get into your head and just put everything that you want to see? No. If you see something that you don't like, or you see something that don't tickle your fancy, you don't have to leave a comment. You don't have to say anything. Just keep it moving. Pass it like a full bus. Just keep it moving, keep scrolling. Gotta keep telling people that. If it don't interest you, it don't entertain you, it don't inform you, it does nothing for you, guys, come on. Whereas thousands of others that's on the platform, they're getting entertainment or they're learning something from it. So other people are actually benefiting from it. It's only you. You understand what I mean? You understand me, right? Exactly, precisely what I'm saying. If it doesn't tickle your fancy, move on. You get me? Move on. You don't have to announce your departure. You are not Liat, you're not JetBlue, BWIA. You don't have to announce your departure. Like, I'm leaving this place now. I'm not commenting on this post now. Like you just did. So guys, don't be like that. Don't be like that, please. The next thing I want to say, guys, is we are entering into a season called the silly season, the stupid season, right? This is the point in time when election is kind of coming near and people start to talk political talk, and neighbors who was friends and communicating, you're passing in the yard every day to go to your house, or they're passing in your yard, but all your casual, all of a sudden now, you guys are not conversating no more, simply because of politics, simply because you might support a different organization, you might be friends with other political figures, and you don't talking to them no more, they don't talking to you no more. Let me tell you all this something. That don't make no kind of sense, right? So if you're the person who is instigating this stupidness, stop it. Everyone is entitled to like or support who they want to support. All right? And don't fight over politics, because the politicians and them, listen, when you see them meeting at dinner and they meeting at fete, or they in cabinet and they eating lunch after cabinet or during cabinet, they're laughing and talking and having fun. While you cussing your sister, your neighbor, there are people that I grew up with and I don't get it. Right? You understand me? So don't get so taken up by politics. You lose your way, you lose your mind, your consciousness, you get stupid, right? For politics. Don't do it, guys. Because I'm sure if your neighbor fall down on the side of the street and you're the only person there, regardless of the political affiliation, you ain't even asking that, you run in to support them. That's how we are as a people. When Kirani James ran and he won, we jump up and hug up each other. We didn't care who was NNP, NDC, GOLP, DPM, or nothing like that. We were happy for the country, right? But right after that, we go right back into our stupidness again, guys. You understand me? Don't go down that road, okay? All right. With that being said, I wanted to introduce my next guest. He's a pollster, and he is a pollster extraordinaire. He's not only, or don't only look at politics from the Grenada perspective. I've seen him throughout the region and panels talking about politics. So he knows his politics. He knows Caribbean politics. He does his poll. And he oftentimes is very opinionated. Well, by the numbers, yeah. I firmly believe that he followed the numbers. So politics is in the air. So I figure let's talk to Peter Wickam and hear what he has to say, because I think it's important that we get a sense of where we are at this moment, right? And here is another one again, just because of that. Akeem, Junior, start the program and stop with this Nancy story, please. Akeem, listen to me, my brother. I could talk as long as I want to talk, Akeem. I could sit down, I could lay down on the ground here and just talk. Right? Know that, right? Understand that. All right, we have an understanding. All right, guys, so let's bring on my next guest. He's a pollster extraordinaire. He just took a little step back from his desk. He'll be back soon, but he's a pollster extraordinaire. been on various platforms speaking on polls as it affects the Caribbean, and he is a name known throughout the region. And he's no stranger to Ridealong Live. And Akeem is going to hate me even more because I have to do more talking, because as you can see, Peter just stepped away from his desk for a quick second and he'll be back shortly. So once he's back, we're gonna join him. So this is a good opportunity for you guys to do me a favor and tag somebody, because this will get very interesting. Very, very interesting. As we get ready for the general election here in Grenada, political organizations are priming up. They are doing their own internal polls. They're seeing where they are at this point in time. They are kind of, checking the numbers and see, well, what's their strengths and their weakness. And oftentimes, someone like Peter Wickam comes along with the numbers and put things into perspective. So guys, again, help me welcome, no stranger to the Ridealong platform, and he's here with us today, Mr. Peter Wickam himself. Peter, how are you, my friend?
Good afternoon. Good to be with you, and it's a blessed afternoon.
Yeah.
I think the last time we spoke, you were on the move, but it looks as though you're indoors today. So the Ridealong format has moved along. Yeah.
I'm actually in Grenada right now.
You're in Grenada, lovely.
I am in Spice Country right now, and enjoying all the beauty. I know you're in the Caribbean as well. Time you all about
that's right. Yeah, well, we both had the same idea, right? Escaping the inescapable heat in France. So it's good to be in the warmth of the Caribbean.
Nice. So Peter, welcome. I want to start by asking this, because a lot of times when we bring you on the program, people say, so who is Peter Wickam? What credential does Peter Wickam come with that to have you speak on election, especially in Grenada? When they hear you speak, the first thing that they hear is a Bayesian accent. So who is Peter? What credential do you have to come and speak to us about our election? Tell us about Peter and your credentials.
Where do I begin? I've been in this business of political commentary on polling since 1998. I believe my first election would have been in Barbados in 1999. I do have a strong Grenadian connection. I don't think it's well known. My grandfather, who was an outstanding Caribbean journalist, escaped to Grenada in the 1930s. He was in exile from Barbados. He went to Grenada to work with Marshall. He actually lived in Marshall House. What is now Marshall House is University of the West Indies. He died there he had an appendicitis, and he died there. So my association with Grenada goes deep. And he was one of the editors of the West Indian newspaper, along with Marshall. And he worked very closely with him in terms of advancing the cause of Caribbean journalism from all back in the day. If we come forward a few decades, I learned my polling at the knees of Patrick Emmanuel, who is another Grenadian. I think Patrick Emmanuel served as Minister of Education in Grenada right after the revolution, after the revolution, because there was a counter-coup. After the revolution, he was one of the interim ministers, and he served for a time there. But he was a very loyal and very beloved Grenadian. He made his life in Barbados after leaving Trinidad and Tobago, and he set up a company called Cadres, which did public opinion research. He employed me in 1994, and we could say the rest is history. I worked along with him, and I learned polling at Patrick Emmanuel's knees. And when he left the earth in 95, I took over the organization, and I've been running it ever since. So apart from that, I was a lecturer at the University of the West Indies for a short time. I worked there for 5 years. I went in 1999, and I worked there until 2005. Cadres was a side hustle then, and basically I left the university around 2005, and it became my main thing. So I work across the region. We do polling. The organization does polling and political research for not only political parties, but we also do quite a bit of developmental work. We've done work for UNICEF, ILO, we've worked for UN Women, we've done work in Grenada in marketing. We've done a considerable amount of marketing research. across the region as well. So we've done some fairly involved research across the region, and I think that what distinguishes CADRIS is that it's a Caribbean organization. We have associates in every single island. I frequently move around the region and visit and touch flesh with people. What's a great thing about it is that I can land at Maurice Bishop International and I'm greeted as though people, say, I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah.
The same is the case when I go to Argyle International, when I go to Antigua, what used to be the Coolidge Airport, but BC Bird. And I have the honor and pleasure of moving around the region, working in the political vineyard in pretty much every single country. So that's what Peter Wickam is. You probably will hear other perspectives from time to time, depending on which political party people think I support. But
right.
I think it's the greatest job in the world, quite frankly. And I can't imagine a better way to make a living than to immerse yourself in the politics of all the region, because the region is very similar but diverse.
Right.
And I've built up a fairly good understanding of Caribbean politics and Caribbean people. From speaking to Caribbean people. And that was one of the things that Patrick Emmanuel always told me. He said, the pollster gets to speak to people. We read history and so on, but we also get to speak to people, and our politics is informed by what people say and what they think and what they feel. Right. And that has stuck with me. Yeah.
Right. What is the difference or similarities between your poll or how you conduct your polls and, let's say, like Justin Peer or others?
Okay. I really can't say, because one of the issues I've always had across the region, there are not many pollsters, frankly. It was Selwyn Ryan. I knew Selwyn Ryan personally. I never knew Carl Stone. I knew Ian Boxall in Jamaica, who did some polling as well. There was an outfit in Antigua, and I knew him quite well, the guy who ran that. I've never met Justin Peer in person. I don't know how he does what he does. So it's difficult for me to say and make comparisons. One of the issues with Caribbean pollsters is that people tend not to talk methodology.
Right.
I, however, I'm very happy to declare my method and the way it works. So I can tell you how I do what I do, and other people can judge based on it. But I don't know how Justin does his stuff, and I never heard about him until the previous election in Grenada. So, right. But I understand that he has a track record, but I can't say that I'm familiar, to be honest.
Oh, I see. Well, doing your job, of course, you travel around, you learn all about the different political, the elections of different islands here in the Caribbean. What are the similarities, first of all, when you look at, like, say, for instance, Antigua's election, St. Vincent election, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada? What are the similarities?
I mean, we are all from the same stock. Certainly in Trinidad and Guyana, there's a strong East Indian stock, and there's a flavor to that politics, which is flavored by the fact that you have this heavy racial polarization. Apart from that, in the other Caribbean countries, we are a common African stock by and large, and the politics is somewhat similar. And I've often said, you can take Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago. I would put St. Kitts in that group, because St. Kitts is an extremely polarized community, which has nothing to do with race. It's polarized for the sake of being polarized. But generally speaking, those are the two most polarized environments that, when you deal with race, it's a fixed concept, and people who vote race are not likely to not vote race because it's a good idea not to vote race, if you understand what I mean. Yeah. So you're dealing with it from the perspective that a person who looks like me is more likely to support the PNC or to support the PNM, while a person who looks like Kamala Persad-Bissessar is more likely to support the UNC or the PPP Civic. Which is not to say that a person who looks like that won't support them. Right. But you operate on that assumption that is pretty much more or less what it gives. And then in the other islands, we have a common African heritage, and there are some characteristics about Caribbean politics. One of them is the fact that in all of the countries, our political parties have been born out of the trade union movement. And that's the case even in Trinidad and Guyana. So the trade union movement and the liberation movement associated with trade unionism would have given birth to all of the political parties in the Caribbean. So they're by and large all Labour parties, even though they don't carry the name Labour parties. So you have, for example, the UWP in St. Lucia and in Dominica that claim to be nationalist parties, but they're pretty much Labour. In Grenada, the NDC has suggested that it is more nationalist than anything else. Frankly, I think that the NDC is as Labour as any other party, you know. And then the other thing that you will notice is that in all of the islands, there's not a lot of difference between the two political parties philosophically.
Right.
So I challenge people all the time to tell me what is the philosophical difference between the NDC and the NNP, right? Certainly the NNP has been in office more.
Right.
And maybe there's some personalities in the NNP that people seem to like more or have more confidence in. But the fundamental philosophical position is pretty much the same. And as a result, regardless of who is in politics, you don't really find big shifts in terms of policy. So Antigua, there's a non-tax policy, and regardless of who is in office, by and large, that's observed. It's the same in St. Kitts and Nevis. You know, it doesn't matter. People are not going for taxation, direct taxation. In Grenada, I don't know that there has been a significant policy shift with the establishment of the NDC government, the first one that we've had in a long time. But it's personality. It's really personality influence. In Barbados, you know, it's pretty much the same. A lot of what's going on now is because people love Mia. And, you know, Mia's policies are socialist policies, which are policies that the Democratic Labour Party can also identify with. So that's I would say in a nutshell, that is a flavor of Caribbean politics.
What about the construct of the two-party, three-party system? We had a shake-up in two of the elections. One in Guyana, where we had Win that came in, and they established themselves as the solid opposition party, right? And then we had in Antigua, the election prior to this one, the now deceased Asa Michael, he took a seat from a third party perspective, right? But we often hear, and I even heard you say that on a recent program, that third party candidates or third party do not really evolve into anything great. What has been the history with third parties in the region?
No, I mean, and that's pretty much it. It's an interesting discussion, actually. I didn't think we were going to get into this kind of stuff, but I'm happy to explore.
Just scratch the surface because I want to get into the other thing.
Yeah, no, it's no problem, but we can talk about it. But no, third parties and new parties in the Caribbean have been very fleeting.
Right.
I would say the successful ones have been political parties that have essentially embraced several groups. So the Unity Labour Party in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is a new political party that has embraced different groups. The UPP in Antigua, similarly, a new political party that has been able to capture different groups and pull them together. It's not well known, but the PNM was also a party like that many years ago that pulled on different groups, and it's now solidified into the PNM. If you're talking politics in that way, we have political parties that have evolved with that level of solid political parties that have been new, but invariably they pull on different groups of entities. Team Unity is the newest one that we've seen, and Team Unity appears to have been able to pull on relationships it's had with others as a coalition.
Yes.
And then it will get to a stage eventually where people forget that it's a coalition. But for the time being, Team Unity is led by Timothy Harris, who is a Labour Party PLP person. That's really the more recent history of Caribbean politics. But we've always been a two-party system. And my finding is that generally speaking, when a third party emerges, it usually means the death of one. So in Dominica, when the Freedom Party, so there was a time when you had UWP, Freedom, and Labour, and ultimately Freedom collapsed into Labour, and they have moved on in that way. So we don't seem to have a capacity to tolerate three parties for very long. And my thing is that usually if there are three parties operating, it's usually because it's time to settle down. So the movement in Grenada is new,
Yes.
and I think the movement will be reflective of well, we could say we see what happens next. But my sense is that it's kind of going to be a transitory organization,
Mhm.
and we'll see whether it evolves into anything maybe in another 5 years. But generally speaking, the new parties have been fleeting. The Asa Michael thing was, we should perhaps do another program on that. But the Asa Michael thing wasn't a genuine political movement. The Asa Michael thing was essentially the ability to buy support. And frankly, and I think that it was a crass purchase of a seat for all intents and purposes.
Mm.
I mean, he's dead now, so we can discuss it quite openly. But there was nothing philosophical in it. It was about an ability to pay bills, and I think I cannot seriously, as an analyst, consider what he did by winning that seat as an example of diversification in terms of political party structure. I can't compare Asa Michael with Peter David.
Mm.
Peter
Mm.
David is on a different philosophical trajectory to what Asa Michael was on. The irony of it is that Asa Michael was the more successful, but it tells you a lot about politics when you can succeed in that way. But there was nothing philosophical about Asa Michael. I don't know if you ever met the individual, but
I've
yeah,
spoken to him a couple of times, and I understand exactly where you're going with it. So
he's transactional. He's a Donald Trump. Yeah.
I heard that. Let's talk about what's happening in Grenada right now. We have, of course, the DPM that emerged, that's still emerging as a political organization. Do you think that it would be to the detriment of the NNP or the NDC on his rise, or do you see it being being to the detriment of anyone for that matter?
Yeah, no, it's definitely to the detriment to the NNP. Peter David's most recent association was with the NNP.
Right.
The NNP also lost another member of parliament. One could argue that it is the political force that's been mostly stabilized now. And there is clearly an attraction and an interest in the NDC that hasn't been there for a long time. So I would say that if there's any political party that's going to suffer as a result of the movement, it will be the NDC. The NNP. The NNP has most to lose from Peter David's race.
Right. Do you see it as a force? Do you see it as something that the NDC should look at in the keeping the side view mirror? Is it going to be a shakeup or potentially be some sort of insurgent that they should be a little bit concerned about?
You said the NDC should be concerned about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the NDC can benefit. And my thing is, if Prime Minister Mitchell believes that he has the election under lock and it's locked down, then there's really no need for him to consider Peter David or any other character. He may say, look, I have this election won, and let's go forward. If I were him, I would probably not be so sure unless, I don't know what scientific evidence he has of his success or potential success. But I would say concerned to the extent that Peter David can help him destabilize the NNP a lot more. And a person who can do that is useful. I'm not convinced yet that Peter David can win an election on his own, but I am convinced that he can help to cause the NNP to lose the election. And I think that is his greatest asset at this point in time. The fact that he can destroy, he can shake up some people and cause some trouble and some confusion within the NNP camp, that is. And I think that's an advantage that he can bring to the table.
You said on a previous program, and that seems to be the talk now. Yeah, people are speaking about it. When you said Cropo smoke the pipe, right? When you said that Cropo smoke the pipe for this upcoming election, what specific data, or were you looking at specific data that led you to make that strong statement or that statement?
No, I haven't done any polling. I can say this without reservation. I haven't done any polling in Grenada. Comments that I have been making have been based on the reading of previous elections, the tea leaves, and also, from speaking to people like you have and hearing commentary and whatnot. And I'm saying that if I look at similar elections in the Caribbean where something like that has happened, where you have a long-standing party that's been destabilized, certainly the last time the NDC was in power under Tillman Thomas, there was a particular outcome associated with the fact that Grenadians moved away from Keith Mitchell, and then clearly they felt what they did was a mistake and a mess, and they decided they're going to move back to him. My feeling is that right now, Prime Minister Mitchell has exceeded expectations, and based on that, this is not going to be a repeat of what happened under Tillman Thomas. So the question is, what are the factors that are likely to inspire victory on this occasion? And I am seeing it as an indication that the NDC is in much better shape than it was the last time it was in office. The NDC is in some of the best shape it has been in a long time. The last time they were in office, they lost support. The same Peter David crossed the floor. On this occasion, they seem to be gaining support. And my sense is that, they are doing much better. We really need to see a public opinion poll. And as I said, I have not done one, and I'm not inclined to comment on other polls that other people have done. So in due course, when I do one, if my client gives me the permission to release the data, I will. And then we will definitely know, win and loss in that kind of situation. But I'm saying this, looking at it on the basis of it, on the face of it, looking at it and comparing it with the last time the NDC was in power, I would say the NDC is in pole position now, based on the fact that they have done that which the NDC has not been able to.
That you said the NDC in pole position or the NNP is in pole position?
NDC is in pole position. Pole position is in front position, no?
Oh, right. Okay, cool. I thought I said poor. I thought I said poor.
Pole position, right. Yeah, because I would say that it is in the best shape it has been in quarter of a century. So, there we are. I think that they are looking better than they have, and, they can do well.
Do you think that it was a mistake by the NNP to set the bar as low as they did for the NDC? Because coming in, there was this talk by talking heads on the opposition that this particular group of young people, they essentially the government would collapse in 6 months. Yeah. Somebody from a prime minister saying that just stay in wing because something is going to happen, and all they had to do is go past 6 months to prove them wrong. The economy is stable. IMF gave good report. Everything is moving fine. Do you think that it was a mistake that they set the bar so low for them?
But you have answered the question, because when I say that their pole position, it was based on expectations.
Right.
The NNP and Keith Mitchell in particular had to lower expectations for this government to that point where getting past 6 months was success. So was it a mistake? Yes, it was a mistake. Was it and what was the word I'm trying to use? While it was a mistake, I don't know that it was an unreasonable assumption to make, because if you look at the history of the NDC recently, there was good reason to believe that the NDC would not last. In addition to the fact that you're dealing with a government that has not been able to hold itself together in office for a long time. A year before this election, nobody knew anything about Wickam Mitchell, right? Mm-hmm. I could tell you going into the last election, I did not think that the commission would win. And I can tell you going into the election, I don't think the commission himself felt that he would win. I felt he would win his seat.
Right.
Because I actually had poll data showing that he would have won his seat. But the likelihood of him winning a government, it just seemed completely out of order. It's never happened in the region before. Even Kenny Anthony, I think it was in 1994, when he took the St. Lucia Labour Party to power and won almost all the seats coming from outside of Parliament. You're dealing with a political party that had some presence in Parliament. But the idea that Wickam Mitchell could actually have won an election, when hitherto Kenny Anthony was a senator in St. Lucia before, nobody knew anything about Wickam Mitchell. I don't even think Wickam Mitchell ever was a church group or a choir boy or anything like that. I have never heard the individual's name. He had never been polled in any of my polls because, quite frankly, no one really knew who he was. He took over the leadership of the NNP, of the NDC. I think that Dr. Mitchell was correct in springing an election on him, because the assumption is that the party was really in no shape. And, there we have it. He won. And he inspired, in Dominica, he inspired Roosevelt Scarrett to go back to the polls himself, because I think that when Roosevelt Scarrett saw that, he was saying, well, look, if you bring a new fella, when Lennox Linton resigned, you bring a new person. There are people all over the region saying, but we can do this in Barbados. Ronnie Yearwood was elected leader of the Democratic Labour Party. And Ronnie is saying, well, maybe I can do this too. You bring a new, clean person, unknown to politics. You drop him in this political party. For a political party that has been struggling all along, there's good reason to believe that the person would not swim. But the fact is, matter is that not only did he float, but he has swum. Now, I agree that he hasn't been hitting any 6s and 4s. But the fact that he's been able to stay alive in an environment that the NNP created, where they said, this guy isn't going to last 6 months. He's last 4 years. So, yeah, it was a huge mistake to set the bar so low. But it's not unreasonable that they would have done that, because the history of the NDC has, to this day, been, quite frankly, a history that would let us to believe that they would not do well in government, and that they couldn't last, especially as they were being led by someone who was a political neophyte.
Right. And when
it feels odd to call him a political neophyte now, but frankly, the matter is that he is.
True.
Yeah.
When you look at the political leader, the current political leader, Emmeline Pierre, and you look at the former political leader, Dr. Keith Mitchell, who lost the last election to a newcomer. No one knew who Deacon Mitchell was. Do you think that, or do you see any difference in leadership style, or any difference in basic, operation of that political party than how it ran before?
Yeah.
Do you see they gaining momentum? Did she come in with any kind of momentum that would push the NNP in a stronger position?
Yeah. And I would say that I haven't really had enough opportunity to observe, but I would also say to you that the only thing that Emmeline Pierre has to be is not Keith Mitchell. Look, when Keith Mitchell lost office the first time to Tillman Thomas, right? And with the greatest of respect to Tillman Thomas is not in Keith Mitchell's class, and neither is Deacon Mitchell, quite frankly, right? Keith Mitchell, Owen Arthur, Lester Bird, these are politicians that have been in a class by themselves in terms of winning elections and staying on and so on. The winningest leaders in the Caribbean. I mean, the man won all the seats 3 times, right, in Grenada. So the fact that you're going to be beaten by someone who is unknown to politics is something that tells you that Grenadians were exhausted. Grenadians were exhausted with Keith Mitchell when Tillman Thomas beat him. And the only reason that things changed was because Tillman Thomas didn't work out. He was a dismal failure. Keith Mitchell was able to get back in and win all the seats again, because, people felt, well, right now he's the best thing on offer. The point is that I think that now Keith Mitchell has woken up to the fact that Grenadians are tired of him, which is not to say that Grenadians didn't love him, which is not to say that Grenadians didn't respect him. Grenadians are tired of him. And I've made the point that if you look at Owen Arthur has achieved great things in Barbados. He won 3 elections and he had a landslide and all this stuff, right? While in office, he had a landslide, right? He's an outstanding politician. He was beaten by someone like Frandell Stewart, right? And Frandell Stewart and Tillman Thomas are in the same class, in my view. But ultimately, Frandell Stewart was able to beat Owen Arthur because people were tired of Owen Arthur. And my thing is that Caribbean politicians don't understand, because I love you, because I respect you, because you have done exceedingly well, it does not mean I will not put you out of office, and I'm just tired of seeing you.
Right.
And I always tell people this joke about the first election that Keith Mitchell lost, right? And I spoke to a security guard in the airport when I was leaving the next day. She said to me, listen, boy, I'm so glad to see the back of that man here. I said, but was he that bad? She goes, no, I'm just tired of seeing him. I'm just tired. And my sense is that that's what happens with Lester Bird. It was the same thing. You know, people
And
think he was tired of Ball and Spencer beating. You know,
Ralph Gonsalves being in that.
that's exactly the point.
Yeah.
I mean, I am certainly not going to put Friday in the class with Tillman Thomas or with Ball and Spencer, because I think that he is a far more outstanding politician. Having said that, however, Ralph Gonsalves did great things, but people got tired of Ralph Gonsalves. You
Right.
know, and that's another program that we need to do. But you know, this idea that you can outperform your competitor to the point where people will forget that you have been in office for 20 something years. There's a reason why they have term limits in the United States of America. I think you live there.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why they have term limits, because the assumption is that people will love a leader, but they just get tired of the person.
Yeah.
So I would say that that's really what it is. That you know, Evelyn Pierre has an opportunity to do well because she is not Keith Mitchell. She's leading the same organization as Keith Mitchell.
But Grenadians would say, people looking on, they would say they haven't seen any difference between Emmeline Pierre and Keith Mitchell. Right? I was having this conversation with a close party affiliate of the NNP, and I was asking them, I said, listen, right? Look at this here. We have a platform that reached so much people. I don't know if the previous administration made the decision that they're not going to come on this platform for whatever reason, right? But we oftentimes reach out to these political parties to come on. Not once have that political party took us up on that opportunity to do that. So the same ideology, same practice, they're not seeing it as, you know, election is a numbers game. It's about addition. It's not about division or not about subtraction. It's about addition. And if you could pick up 5 more supporters along the way, you would do that to gather that. But I'm not seeing that. We haven't seen that. Well, that brought me to the understanding that we don't see daylight between Emmeline Pierre and Keith Mitchell. So I just want you saw that.
But my question is, what would that look like? What would daylight between the two leaders look like? What would tell you that one leader is doing better than the other and that the leader is different? What would the difference look like to you? Sorry to be asking you the question, because I realize that you're asking me.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Right.
I think that canvassing a broader support, right? Because there are people that they may target and say this person is with this political political association, so they don't want to associate. So what you have in Grenada is a series of platforms, like the NNP may have this series of platform, and every time you turn on your television, they would be on those platforms. So like they're singing to the choir, right? Like how you would see some Democrats on Fox. You wouldn't see that much in Grenada because everybody feel like they have their platform, and this platform is for this one, and this platform is for that. So daylight would mean that Emmeline Pierre coming out and canvassing a broader level of support, right? And saying, you know what, I am going to speak to the broader Grenadian community, not only to the people that is in my organization or that I know would vote for me, but instead I would speak to the greater Grenadian community. And it's an addition game. It's a multiplication game. So we haven't seen that.
Right. But what I'm hearing and what you're saying is a suggestion that these people actually are interested in hearing anything from Evelyn Pierre. And I don't really get the impression that they are, because a lot of these are the same people that weren't really interested in hearing anything from her predecessor. So the challenge that you're going to face is that Emmeline Pierre has to become a viable political vehicle.
Right.
Mia Motley is the flavor of the month in Barbados now, right? She is attracting people who never supported the Barbados Labour Party before. And I can name any number of them. I mean, she has about 4 ministers in her cabinet that were from the previous administration, from the Democratic Labour Party at different points in time. The reason that she's as magnetic as she is, the reason as Gaston Brown, who was also attracted to people from the UPP side, the reason that these people are attractive is because they provide a political star to which people can hitch their wagon. And people like Mia Motley because she's going somewhere, and you know, she can put her hand on you and put you in parliament, right? Emmeline Pierre can't do that.
Yeah, but
Keith Mitchell could.
Yes,
right?
but that's why she have to stay so close. Right. So she can't go against what
And
he
Right.
says.
No, but the point is that Keith Mitchell could at that time, because Keith Mitchell was a prime minister that was hugely successful.
Right.
And look, half dozen women in the NNP were there because Keith Mitchell put their hand on them and said, come. Keith Mitchell changed the demographic of the Grenadian parliament overnight by bringing in all of these women. And the reason that he could put his hand on a woman and say, like the same Emmeline Pierre, you come into politics, is because he knew that by running them as a candidate, he could deliver a seat. And Emmeline Pierres of this world would have been happy to associate with him for that reason.
Right.
The challenge is that it's going to be difficult for her now to have that same level of magnetism because she started from zero. Because right now people can see her as leading a vehicle that doesn't appear to be going anywhere fast. Right. So right now the flavor of the month is Dicker Mitchell. And I think that is what it appears to be. So people are looking to the political star to which they can hitch their wagon. And she's that star.
And the other thing where we've not seen any daylight, we're going to move on into other things, but the other part where we're not seeing daylight is on social media. There are many, many fake pages, right? And there are even political wannabes. I'll put it like that. And I'll call his name. Nimrod Oliver is one of the political wannabes. And he is such a weak political wannabe that he oftentimes go on social media and beat Tebe like a little child on social media with regular people. And like he would have problem with Peter David at one point. Apparently he lent Peter David some money of some sort. I think that was the way it went. And then he went and exposed that on his WhatsApp. And he is the person that is tasked with running for a candidacy seat up in the South St. George. So these type of weak candidates, right? And Emmeline Pierre, who's coming in as a change candidate, a woman coming with a different vision, you would never tap somebody so weak. The only reason why he's been tapped is because he's a good friend of the former political leader. You understand what I'm saying? So we're not seeing daylight between the decision of the fake pages that goes around and attack people and folks in different places that go and curse people out and call them all sort of things and negative and nasty names. All of these things, there's no daylight. There's no condemnation of these type of things. In fact, what we have is the former prime minister saying that, no, you should go harder. You should do more. You should curse them more. You should say more things about them. They're weak. You guys are weak. You should do more. And we're not seeing that condemnation by a change candidate who is coming in that has to be not like a predecessor. You understand?
Yeah. And I would discourage Emmeline Pierre from going down that road because Keith Mitchell has been amazing, but I don't agree with him now. This idea that you need to go harder. Look, if you go harder, the assumption is that you're going harder because people voted you out because there was something that you did was wrong. And I don't believe that Grenadians voted him out because he did anything wrong, really. I think that Grenadians voted him out because they were tired of him. So, to be honest, she needs to be as much not like him as possible. And I don't know that she needs to go harder. I think Emmeline Pierre is doing fine. My criticism of her would have been the fact that I felt that when Peter David, when he stepped down from the competition and she was elected as leader, she should have made it her first priority.
She was elected or selected. That was another big contention. Was she selected or elected?
Right. She should have been. I think that she should have fought to win an election as opposed to being a coronation. Right. I think that Peter David could have helped her to legitimize herself, frankly. But I don't know how much she had to do with that decision. But my sense was that she was relieved when she didn't have to run against him. And my thing is that if she ran against him and beat him, then she would be even stronger today. But having said that, once that election was over, I felt that she should have embraced him in a huge way. But what happened? She won, and she did not become opposition leader immediately, which said to people that, clearly somebody else was pulling the strings. Yes, she took over as opposition leader, but she never held out an olive branch to Peter David, as far as I know. I don't know, maybe you've spoken to him and he told you something differently, but I never got the impression that she held out an olive branch. And then he left. Those were the two strategic errors I personally think that she made, in that she opted for a coronation and not a victory by success. And secondly, that she never embraced her adversary thereafter, because frankly, I think that he was a bigger threat to her success than she realizes. But as far as not criticizing the party and whatnot, I don't really know that she needs to go down that road right now. Her priority has to understand why they didn't succeed last time and what they need to do differently. And there are things that she needs to do. Listen more. You were suggesting that she can go to the diaspora. And I think, yeah, go to the diaspora, have meetings, listen to Grenadians, in the villages and shops and whatnot. When Mia Motley was in the political wilderness for 5 years after they lost that 2013 election, she did something called rubbing shoulders, where she went to every town and village and community, ride jet ski in a bikini and all kind of thing,
Really?
Yes. So that was in the newspaper. Yeah. And you talk to all kinds of people from all walks of life to find out what's really going on, And I mean, a lot of times they will tell you things you already know, but you need to be seen to be listening. I think that's what Emmeline Pierre needs to do. The other thing that she did when she was in the wilderness for that time was she did something called the Pillars of Democracy, which was a restatement of the Barbados Labour Party's philosophy. What I said to you earlier was that there's no difference between the two political parties. She attempted to prove that wrong by saying that this is what we stand for as a political party. This is our policy on education. This is our policy on inclusion. This is our policy on this. It was a very well-researched document, and it benefited from the fact that she spoke to people and she rubbed shoulders and whatnot. These are the kind of things that Emmeline Pierre needs to do, not to cuss Dickon Mitchell.
In the last meeting that they had, that was one of the things that the former prime minister said. He said,
I heard him, but I think that he's wrong on that count, because that's not going to help them now. That's not going to help them now. Right now, they have to understand Dickon Mitchell is in government, and right now he has a majority of seats, and he's doing well. You got to fight against that. And I think the first thing you need to fight against that is to understand where you are in the pecking order and understand why people did not want you there in the first place. So deal with that, and eventually you may get to counter him. But I see in Barbados, the Democratic Labour Party, for example, they're always cussing me. I mean, that is their thing. They go hard against Prime Minister Motley, and they go hard against her for no good reason whatsoever.
Right.
So immigration policy, education, they criticized the construction of a new old people's home. Yeah. And now they're calling for the old people's home to be open. They love that kind of thing.
That's
right. And they do that, and I'm saying that they don't realize that that's not helping them, because in the final analysis, we have voted for her 3 times and given her all the seats 3 times. Clearly, we love her. So forget about that. Look at yourself in the mirror and try to understand what it is about you that in a situation where she has 30 seats, you can't win 1.
Yeah.
That requires introspection. Now, I don't think Emmeline Pierre is in that situation because she's in Parliament. But I think that she still has to understand and try to get a grip on what are some of the fundamentals that Grenadians are concerned about. And it's not that she's not cussing Dickon Mitchell enough.
Yeah. Guys, you're watching Ridealong Live. Peter Wickam is my guest here. And the phone number is up there. So if you guys want to call, you can call them. The number is 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. Now, the opposition NNP, hold on, I think we have a call. Let me see if that call is for the program. Caller, are you live? Are you calling for the program?
Hello.
Are you calling for the program?
I'm calling for the program.
Go right ahead, caller. You're live.
Okay. One of my things, and I keep using that the words that the New National Party don't understand why they lost the election. And Mr. Wickam just said it there. I said it on To The Point. I said it on various independent programs. And the New National Party, they don't seem to, as to me, they don't understand why they lost the election. If they understand why they have lost the election, I think they would have been in a much more better position today. Because when they had that convention, and election is not about, you have a support base, but it's 23,000 persons, 24,000 persons. It's not about that. It's about, we have a convention, the convention come, the convention finished. When that convention finishes, if me, myself, and Mr. Wickam, we were potential candidates that was nominated for the convention, and I lost, and Mr. Wickam was to lose, then we supposed to come together and support whoever come out the successful democratically. Now, the NNP, after coming off that defeat that they got in June 22nd, they just come and attacking. It's like they went straight into the political campaign mode. And every day it's a negativity. The government is young, they're inexperienced. And you look at Dr. Mitchell, he was in Parliament on numerous occasions, made him making a lot of conflict with young MPs like Ron Redhead and the Prime Minister, and you always get that sense of bitterness. Just on the Bob report the other day, Mr. Wickam was there also, and I was listening to him and a political podcaster when she was speaking, and all she was speaking from is bitterness, and they have a tendency that it's like they want to throw out logics outside. Mr. Wickam been there doing this thing for years. He's speaking logically. He's not speaking with statistics at the moment. He will come with that. But what the podcaster is stating, hey, you're not here. And this is an attitude that I see this they give in the diaspora people, right? You're not here. You're not living in Grenada. So it's like, don't tell me about Grenada. Don't tell me what's going on in Grenada. You don't have a right to tell me what's going on in Grenada. And look today, the diaspora people, the New National Party political leaders said, hey, you all cannot come back and vote in Grenada. It is illegal. They chastise them. And now I see the New National Party has a meeting coming up for the 12th of July. And I'm asking myself now, look at that. The Prime Minister went outside it. He established himself. He said, come one and all. He is trying to unite. And this is what the voting public look for. We look for who is trying to unite, because you need people to come over in order to win an election. You can't come being hostile with Peter David. Peter David being successful as a foreign affairs minister, you can't rule that out. He has done a lot politically. He's been around here long enough. So they went through the convention. The former political leader, Dr. Mitchell, he called him names in the public. He do it online, and a lot of people were displeased with that. And the party have a lot of splits inside of it in all 15 constituencies, and they don't want to admit it. They don't want to say it for what it is. That same split caused NDC to be 15-0 in 2013, Mr. Wickam 2013 election. You know that. So, as I said, when Mr. Wickam is speaking logically on the Bob report the other day, I look at his speaking from a logistical standpoint. And I heard a podcaster tearing him down, telling him, you're not here. Yeah. You don't know this, you don't know that. I find it to be rather disturbing and distasteful. It's like every time you hear persons on the opposition speak, they give a lot of hate, and you don't get the unity, you don't get the logistic part, you don't get the part that we're looking for. Okay, we as the voting public, we want to hear this, we want to hear how you're going to move our country forward. Yes. We're not your climate time. Yes. What are you going to do to assist us from the pressure from the United States? Right. We hear the Prime Minister coming up with a lot of. Well, we had to wrap it up. We had to wrap it up. Thank you very much, and do have a good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you know, he made some very valid point, and one of the point I want to touch on is that, you throw everything out in the early. You throw everything out. You throw out the toilet seat and the everything, and nothing stick, right? And then you're still doing the same thing. You have people that are, well, I don't know, allegedly is being paid to call people names. You got people that all they do in the morning, evening, noon, and night, they don't tell you what to do. Weather is nice. They don't tell you that outside is great. Go outside and have fun with your kids. They stick to one energy every single time, and that's negativity. So people are so fed up in Grenada with that negativity and the one time antagonizing politics that people are pushing away from. So that is very important. Do you see that as a demise or a turn off, I should say, to bring in those independent-minded people?
Yeah, I mean, it has its place, and I would be lying if I told you that all of the great leaders I mentioned, the Oinathas, the Mia Motleys, Lester Birds, all of them, there's a bit of that in it. So you will have your supporters, and in the past, people used to call on the call-in programs and support leaders, so they had the cheerleaders and the call-in programs. Yeah. Now it's the chat bots and the internet sensations and the internet influencers and whatnot. So now we do it electronically. So there's a space for that. But I also agree with you that politics has to move beyond that. And you can also get somewhere with honey. And I tell you, one of the things that Mia Motley always said when she was Minister of Education, if I'm creating employment and I can find 3 jobs, in those days, people wanted to work for school meals and things like that, right? I bring in 2 BLP and I bring in 1 DLP.
Yeah.
Because it always has to be a situation where they can't say that you didn't bring along someone, okay? And this is the most, I would say, the most people in any cabinet that we have ever had that have not been historical supporters. So her senior minister used to be a Dem. She has two senior ministers that were Dems. Her minister of justice was a Dem. What I think she has essentially done is that she's created an environment in which people who support the Democrat Labour Party like her. And then you can hear people saying, but I've never really been a fan of the Barbados Labour Party, but I like Mia.
Right.
And I think that that's what's missing in this conversation, that there's a feeling that the negativity will work to essentially bring people along. I think that, frankly, a lot of it turns people off now.
Yeah.
And there has to be an environment in which you say, well, yeah, I appreciate there's a place for that. There's a place for the party T-shirts and whatnot. But there's also a place for me to say to you, look, I didn't support you before, but I'm gonna come and sit with you now because I realize that you're doing stuff for people. So I think the phrase is honey and well, carrots and sticks.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a role for the carrot, and we have to ensure that we don't play. The problem is that when you are in opposition, it's hard to find carrots because there's nothing you can give anyone.
True.
Right? So you have to create an inclusion by essentially drawing people to you with what limited resources that you have. You can't give them a job or can't give them anything. So maybe your inclusion has to take on a slightly different shape.
Yeah. Let's go back to the phone. Let me get a caller on the line. Caller, you're live. Where are you calling us from? Hold on. Sorry. Caller, start again. Where are you calling us from?
Florida.
Florida, go right ahead.
I'm calling because there is something in politics called likability factor.
Uh-huh.
And the current leader of the opposition lacks that. When you speak, you're supposed to be able to reach a broad audience of people. When that lady speaks, she speaks down to people. She speaks to you. She don't speak to you. She speaks down to you. Number two, all these little fake pages that they have going around just sound like Vowet and Jamet. It does not sound, there are people who are politically intelligent and who has a level of intelligence that does not want to deal with that. If you put yourself up for political office, you should be open to criticism. You should also be open to understand that I am going to check you, not on your personal life, which do also have a fact to play, but I'm going to check you on your track record. And if you don't have a good track record, you can't come up and criticize people when you're doing nonsense. These things are important to me to judge what type of leader you're going to be. And if you come across to me as shallow and just critical, I am not interested. And I think that is where the current opposition is losing people. So tell us what you say about Peter David. I'm no Peter David fan since he moved over, but I still respect him sometimes when he comes up with criticism, because his criticism I can understand.
Yeah.
And he still just shows some support. It's not just critical and nasty. That's my contribution.
Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. We appreciate you. What's your take? Yeah. Also, Peter, on the topic of the slate of candidate, we saw the NNP having some new slate of candidates. I remember last election they was referred to as the parachuting and they're young and they this and they that. No, we have that on the opposition side. Do you think that play off to their benefit or more to their demise? We have a new leader and new candidates.
What I said on Sunday on the Bob Report was that there are factors that destabilize candidates, and one of them is newness. So an older candidate always has an advantage over a younger candidate in the sense that the person who is there already knows people. And of course, that can work against the candidate because people would dislike that person. Right? But let's say, for example, the guy who is going in now in Keith Mitchell's seat, my expectation is that he will do less well than Keith Mitchell because he's less well known than Keith Mitchell. So that's a factor. So I would say that changing out candidates is a risk. Having said that, however, I think the NNP is in a situation now where it cannot risk to run back a lot of the old slate that it had before. Because if you are in an evolution of change and you're so on, then you need to take the opportunity to change your candidates. So I don't really know that they have a lot of choice, but they definitely need to change the candidates and they need to blunt them. But they have to do that with the understanding that you should probably change candidates in strong seats, and that they have done. But I mean, even the leader, I don't know that her seat is as strong as she would like it to be. But generally speaking, you would want to change candidates in seats that are strong. But yeah, changing candidates is always a risk. But I do think that they're at a point right now where they can't afford not to change candidates because there's a feeling that the party is a bit stale and it needs a refresher. I heard Ralph Gonzalez made the point on so many occasions that the party was not stale because the team that he started with when he went in 1999, or was it 2000? When he went in 2000, the team that he went in with was a very different team to the one that he ran with in 2025, 25 years later. So his thing was that, yeah, we have changed and the party has changed. The fact of the matter is that they want to change the leader. So right. that is one of the factors that one could consider.
Right. If election was held, say tomorrow, how competitive would you think it would really be?
Well, very competitive. Yeah.
Yeah. Which would be much more competitive? Or
which would be the constituencies?
Yes, constituencies.
I can't say which constituencies because that's something that would need to be guided by poll data. But look, a political party like the NNP is not dead. The right. NNP has latent support in Grenada. A political party that has done as well as it has over the years will always be a threat. So I would say that an election coming up now will be competitive simply because you're dealing with, yes, NDC in office, NDC slightly more comfortable, but the NDC can't rest back on their laurels because the fact of the matter is, if the NNP is able to wake up their supporters, it can be devastating. In the same I would say for the UPP and the Democratic Labour Party in Barbados and so on. The challenge is that they haven't been able to wake up the supporters for a while. So I would say that, yeah, I mean, there's potential for an interesting and a competitive election. Right now, I would definitely agree. And I would say that, Grenada is a place where once you have an NNP in the race, you can't say that it's going to be uncompetitive.
Right. Okay, guys, take a few more calls. We are a little bit over time, but we have about five or so minutes left. If you want to call, the number 718-701-5720. Speaking here with Peter Wickam. I see a lot of questions, Emma, NES.
I saw this question about the candidate going up against Delma Thomas. I'm not able to assess it. A lot of those candidate questions really would have to be based on public opinion polls, and I don't have that information available to me now. I don't know the candidate well enough to say, person for person, why is it likely to be. I do think though that Delma Thomas is definitely going to carry a bit of national swing with her because she seems to be going in the direction that the country is going in terms of the national swing. If the national swing is as I believe it to be, and I assessed it correctly, she has what we call a good political tailwind that is pushing her. I would say that.
Do you think that this election coming would be more about leadership, party loyalty, or just constituency candidates?
Leadership and party loyalty are always the two big factors, and I think that the last election was about leadership. It was about Keith Mitchell's leadership. This election will be about Dickon Mitchell's leadership. So I think that leadership, I would say, number one, party loyalty, perhaps number two. The actual candidate, constituency, and so on is usually a distant third in most instances.
And what about division? We saw it with the recent Tillman Thomas NDC administration, where you have infighting. How much of a problem does this cause? When you have, how much damage does it do when you have internal division within political parties, actually, to the voters? How much damage do you see it how badly affects the party?
But this is the thing that affected the NDC over the years so much that people saw it as a party that wasn't unified, that wasn't organized, and people like to see unity within the political party. Um, whenever a political party goes into an election, there's disunity. It generally speaking impacts negatively on it, and over the years, this is one of the main challenges that we've seen. So I think the NDC suffered a lot from that. I mean, the disaster that was the Tillman Thomas administration, it was basically a lack of party discipline, and you have people speaking openly against the party and things of that nature. So I would say that that's a great concern, that when people see those kinds of divisions, they don't like it. As it stands now, it appears as though there's no question of unity within the NDC, unity behind a particular leader and a solid unity behind that leader. I don't know if you agree.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We have one final question that I want to find out, and everybody been asking me that question about who you think getting smoked. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know, guys. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we get back, we got to find a question for Mr. Wickam. Don't move. We'll be right back.
So you just landed at Maurice Bishop International Airport in beautiful Grenada and need a taxi? You probably just realized that Uber doesn't work here. That's right, Grenada doesn't have Uber. But don't worry. Instead, locals and visitors alike use RideGo, the fastest growing rideshare app on the island. With just a few taps, you can request a safe, reliable, and affordable ride anywhere in Grenada. Whether you're heading to your hotel, the beach, a restaurant, or exploring the island, RideGo has you covered. No waiting, no guessing, no hassle. Download the RideGo app today and experience transportation the modern way. RideGo, moving Grenada one ride at a time. Welcome to Ride Country.
Welcome to the island's boldest ATV experience. The only tour daring enough to bring you this level of excitement, freedom, and adrenaline. Feel the power. Conquer rugged trails. Experience breathtaking views. Ride beyond the ordinary. Feel the power. This is not just a tour. This is the power of Ride ATV. Get ready for fun. Get ready for excitement. Get ready to ride. Book now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Ride ATV. Adventure starts here.
And guys, we're back here with, of course, Mr. Peter Wickam. A long conversation, a little bit over time there, so we don't have any much more time. But we will have Mr. Wickam back, and probably in the near future as the election, as the campaign season starts to turn up a little bit more. So Mr. Wickam, put this in a nutshell. Election is constitutionally due in 2027 next year. The Prime Minister speaking at the last press conference said, not the press conference, the massive mega rally, saying that he kind of basically said it will be next year. Not in so much time, but he lead to the understanding. Summarize it for us. Do you think it will be a blowout victory for the NDC, or you think that NNP has, a position in the field of slate of candidates right now? What's your take?
Yeah, it's difficult to say, and I think that's probably the easiest way to answer the question, honestly, to say that I really don't know. What I can tell you is that the Prime Minister has a strategic advantage by being able to say he wants the election when he does. I think it's painfully obvious that the NNP is less ready than they would like to be now. And he has essentially telegraphed his decision in terms of when he's going to call the election by telling people in this open forum. People went to that rally to hear an election date.
Yeah.
They went with the expectation that something was happening. And he basically told them coolly, we're going to do a manifesto and we're going to go and meet people and rub shoulders and whatnot. And I don't think that that's what people expected to hear. So I think there was a level of disappointment. He has then given the opposition the best news that they had in a long time, which is that you're not going into an election immediately. And you have several months to prepare yourself for an election. So I really, really hope he knows what he's getting himself into, because I think that he has essentially surrendered a strategic advantage that he can have. My sense is that if he called the election now, he would probably win a lot more easily, because if the leadership, if Emmeline Pierre is as astute politically as I believe she is, and if she's being advised well, she will use this time very, very wisely to settle the party properly, and perhaps to deal with any rifts or any divisions that may have been taking place. Now, if she doesn't use the time to do that, then yeah, I mean, it's going to be the same level of carnage that it probably would have been now. But my sense is that I think sooner rather than later would have been better for him. But as I said, I really don't know what information he has access to, what data and what intelligence to suggest that he's better off waiting. My personal feeling is that maybe a bit of political naivety on his part, because as I said, he's not a person who is as steeped in politics as we may like. And I think if Keith Mitchell was in his position, Keith Mitchell would have called the election last week or a week before, whenever it was. So we see, but I'm not really sure of what will happen in a. Hopefully by then I would get to do a poll and I'll be able to speak to some data and tell you what's likely to happen.
All right.
But I didn't mind that the program was long. I enjoyed chatting, and I'm happy that we got into some of the more philosophical political issues and what makes Caribbean politics interesting and whatnot, other than just who can get smoke and who.
Yeah, thank you so much, Peter Wickam. We'll chat again as
pleasure.
Seasons spike up a little bit more here in Grenada.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care.
All right, my brother.
Okay.
Peter Wickam here on the ride. Always great to chat about regional matters, election, and so forth. We'll be right back.
Hi, I want $10 on Playway, $20 backup on Pick 3, and cash for each, please.
Okay, are you adding multi-X to your bet?
Yes, multi-X, all of them.
Smart! Best value bet. Backup and multi-X, you cannot go wrong.
Don't matter the bet, multi-X all of the daily games.
With multi-X added, your winnings can be multiplied 3 times, 5 times, even 7 times. So make it a rule. Add multi-X to all your Playway, daily pick 3, and daily cash for bets every day and for every drop, and watch your money grow. Available at stores and online.
You heard it here. Multiply your winnings daily. Must be 18 or older to play. NLA, making your dreams come true.
There's a new way to move in Grenada. Ride Go. Ride Go is here. Ride Go. Where do you want to go?
Yeah. Because I'm sure you guys been seeing the ad for Ride Go. And unless you've been hiding under a rock, Ride Go is a rideshare app here in Grenada. So a lot of you who might be watching from England and Canada, you know this very well. You use Uber, you use Lyft. Yeah, Ride Go is just like that. So if you're coming down for Carnival, guys, before you even set foot on the soil, I hope you know you got to download a Ride Go. In fact, do it right now, because not only that you need it when you're on the island, you could stay in the United States, Canada, and England and send a taxi to your family member here in Grenada. Yes, you didn't know that? Yeah, man. You could stay in the United States right now with Ride Go and send a taxi to your mother, to your sister, to your child, and you could book it from overseas. Easy, simple, real fast. Yeah, so Ride Go is that app that everyone needs. Everybody needs to download Ride Go. It's a rideshare app. It's just like Uber. It's just like Lyft. Now, if you're in Grenada right now, you probably use the app already. It is so easy and convenient. You're driving in Grenada and you get a flat tire. What you do, you call Ride Go. You have access to over 150 drivers who will always be there for you. All you do, you tap the app, you request a ride, and in 5 minutes or less, 5 minutes or less, a taxi is coming to meet you. You go to a party, you don't want to drive home, you're drunk, whatever the case might be, a taxi is there for you. Download the RideGo from the App Store right now. Download the RideGo from the App Store right now, and you're going to see what I'm talking about. Yeah, check it out, RideGo, or just that link that we put there, just click that link, tell you all about RideGo. Yeah, say where do you want to go, anywhere you want to go. And remember, Grenada doesn't have Uber, so when you get here for Carnival, I hope you know how you're getting around. It's not brain science. All you need is RideGo. End of story. Nothing else. If you have one app on your phone, if you only have one app on your phone, make sure, RideGo. Or some people say, oh, do I have space on my phone? Delete something. Oh gosh, delete something. You don't need 3 and 4 porn sites on your phone. Porn site app. No, you don't need no AI. And let me tell you a quick story. This is quick, I promise you. and Akim, this is not a Nancy story. This is a real story. So I was showing some people, the app and stuff like that. So they said, I'm having problems with my phone. I don't have enough data on my phone to download. So she gave me the phone to download the app for, and I'm going through her phone and I'm going to download the app. And Lord have mercy, I never knew that they have so much AI porn apps. What? And like she has all of them. That's why you can't download RideGo, because you have too much of that in your phone. Hey, before you give me your phone, make sure you clean it up. Right? Don't tell me, hey, look at my phone, download it for me, and you have all that kind of stuff. Just clean it out. Or make sure that you don't have nothing that could embarrass you before you give me your phone to say, put it on it. Or just do it for yourself. Okay? All right? But seriously, guys, download the RideGo and get it right for yourself. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of our program. We appreciate you. On behalf of all of our production crew here at Ridealong Live, we work hard, doing all the hard work, getting all the guests, so we can bring it here to you and have a great conversation in prime time. Also, I must say that you see ads that run on the platform. You see National Lottery Authority, you see GTA, you see big enterprises and big companies. But do you know that you don't have to be a big company or enterprise to get your ads on Ridealong Live? No. Anyone, once you have a business or service you want to provide, you could advertise on Ridealong Live. And it's simple. It is simple. Download RideGo right now. We're right now streaming live on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube simultaneously. So just imagine the amount of people that you would reach when you advertise on Ridealong Live. It's massive. Massive. Absolutely. Advertise on Ridealong Live and reach the world. It pays to advertise.
So you just landed at Maurice Bishop International Airport in beautiful Grenada and need a taxi? You probably just realized that Uber doesn't work here. That's right, Grenada doesn't have Uber. But don't worry. Instead, locals and visitors alike use RideGo, the fastest growing rideshare app on the island. With just a few taps, you can request a safe, reliable, and affordable ride anywhere in Grenada. Whether you're heading to your hotel, the beach, a restaurant, or exploring the island, RideGo has you covered. No waiting, no guessing, no hassle. Download the RideGo app today and experience transportation the modern way. RideGo, moving Grenada one ride at a time. Welcome to Ride Country.
Hi, I want $10 on Playway, $20 backup on Pick 3, and cash for each, please.
Okay, are you adding multi-X to your bet?
Yes, multi-X, all of them.
Smart! Best value bet. Backup and multi-X, you cannot go wrong.
Don't matter the bet, multi-X all of the daily games.
With multi-X added, your winnings can be multiplied 3 times, 5 times, even 7 times. So make it a rule. Add multi-X to all your Playway, daily Pick 3, and daily cash for bets every day and for every drop, and watch your money grow. Available at stores and online.
You heard it here. Multiply your winnings daily. Must be 18 or older to play. NLA, making your dreams come true.